right. So welcome to the Well-Rounded Podcast, the podcast that features candid, relatable conversations with small business owners and entrepreneurs about their journey. I'm your host, Tisha Holman. Today's episode is about me. This is our first episode, and I am introducing myself to you, my audience. I'm so excited to be here. But in this case, I figured if I'm really going to introduce myself to you all, I couldn't do it by myself. So I tapped on my good friend, Zakiya Larry, founder of Quest Media Group, to help me bring me to you so that you can get to know me better. Hey, Zakiya.
Hey, what's going on? So, Tisha, listen, this is going to be so much fun. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your very first episode of your podcast. And we are going to get into it. Okay. I love that we get a chance to introduce you to your audience in a super different, super new way. And listen, y'all, I'm just going to get in her business on your behalf. Okay. So if you are ready, look, and I know we're super conversational. So here's the thing. Podcast, I have known you and respected your work as a business owner, as a brilliant digital strategist, but also as a human. And so I kind of want to take it back. Okay. We met in Dallas, Texas, but that's not where you're from. How did you end up in Dallas and in the lives of all of us Texans?
Okay, so I am a Cali girl. I am from Sacramento, and I moved to Atlanta for a while. Just needed a change of scenery. My grandmother raised me, and when she passed away, girl, that knocked the wind out of me, and I just needed to change scenery. So I moved to Atlanta. I have a reputation for not even just stepping out on faith, running out on faith. I left Sacramento without a job and got a job pumping gas somewhere in New Mexico on my way there.
Okay, wait, pause. I got questions. So why did you pick Atlanta? And what do you mean you got a job while pumping gas? Like, take us through that, like, quantum leap.
So I picked Atlanta because the change of scenery that I wanted was something that was more blackety black, just to be very honest.
Yeah.
California is a melting pot. Sacramento is very diverse. But I visited Atlanta one time for a training, and I just loved all of the blackness. Yes, it was awesome. Like, I was standing in Starbucks and they were playing Outkast, and I was sprung at that point. I was just like, okay. So I wanted to experience that. Lots of Black entrepreneurs there. And so, of course, I connected to that. So I thought that would be the next best place to make a change for. So I had been applying for jobs and wasn't getting a response because my address was still in California. So I was like, I'm resilient. I'm just going to go, and the chips will fall where they may. And so a job that I had, got the ball rolling for, made the offer while I was in New Mexico. So it was great to arrive in Atlanta with the job that was already in place. So
that is amazing. So you were on your way to continue the hunt. And while you were just stopping to get gas to continue your journey, you got the call that you really did get a job in the place you haven't even set foot in yet.
Right. Sold all my stuff on Craigslist, gave away some things, packed up my car, and hit the road.
So I know you were saying your grandmother passed, you needed a change of scenery, but you were still very young at this point.
Yeah.
Had you considered entrepreneurship at that age? And so were you around maybe mid-20s, early 20s?
Yeah, mid-20s. And I think it's always kind of been in me. I started out as an event planner. So back then it was Tisha Holman. It was Do Me a Favor. I started out making favors for parties, and then it evolved into event planning. And that started in high school. My junior prom was to date one of the worst events I've been to. And so I ran for senior class VP just so I could plan the prom.
What I'm loving about this, and it's so on brand for you with your podcast, is that you see beyond where you are right now, and then you go get it. Like, that's what I'm hearing in general, even though these are really cool parts of your story. So I think that's really, really awesome. I'm going to sort of pivot here because this is how you got to where you were living in the first early years of your job. But let's also get to know the person who's doing this stuff. You and I connected really, really deeply around our love for language which makes so much sense with what you do for a living and me on more of the PR and crisis side. It makes sense for what we do. But not everybody is as excited as we are about language and how it is expressed. Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you.
So I'm the original Aquila and the Bee. Okay.
Come on, Aquila and the Bee.
Listen, so I think from 4th to 8th grade, I swept all of the spelling bees in school. I was an early reader, always been a word nerd. So it really makes complete sense that I'm doing something now that's helping people, bring magnetic messaging to what they're doing to explode what it is. I was the kid that always had the talks too much in class on the report card. Now I get paid to talk too much. So listen, but, it's one of those things where it's been who I am. Like I said, early reader, kindergarten in the 6th grade reading class, winning spelling bees. And so a lot of times people will say, you sound like a professor, or they're like, why do you got to use these big words all the time to say things? And it can be frustrating because I'm not trying to sound like a professor. I'm not intentionally, I don't keep a thesaurus in my pocket so I can find a word to talk over you with. It's really who I am.
But that's so huge because especially when, and I'm not plugging your business, but y'all, I have worked with her and this woman is incredible. And so for me, that stands out because it's one thing to say, I launched this business because I like the field, or any number of reasons people start, which are all valid and all legitimate. What I think is so powerful is that you are literally living out your purpose. You were created to do the things you do for your clients, and they don't get no better than that. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah. I was just working with a client this past weekend, and on my way home, I just had to I was really reflecting on the fact that this is something it's in my heart to do. And it doesn't even feel like work. And I love the fact that things that come super naturally to me, where I really don't even almost have to think about it too much sometimes.
Yep.
How I can just see the light bulb go off for people when I'm able to put things in place for them that are going to take them to the next level. I love it here.
I love it for you. And what's so crazy is I totally identify with you because I have literally been on dates before I got married, which thank God for pulling me out that dating pool. But I would be on dates and, the guys would be like, you sound like a lawyer. Like, why? But I'm just talking. I'm just being myself. And you know all about that.
I got into a heated fellowship with the guy.
Not a heated fellowship.
A heated fellowship with a guy in Olive Garden one time because I said something was advantageous. And I said something was advantageous and it turned into, why are you talking over me and all the time? And it's just frustrating. And, when you start talking about showing up in the marketplace with that, right? So what does that look like? Where well-rounded comes from is I've had more than a couple of people around me say, you're so cool in real life. You're funny. You're all these things. But when you start talking about your business, it just gets dry. And that's where that professor thing comes in. And it was really bothering me for a while, low key offended because it's like, that's a big difference, right? I'm funny and down to earth and all these things. And then when I start talking about the thing that I'm really super passionate about, now you have all these negative things to say. And so for me, well-rounded is about showing, brilliance and personality can dwell together, right?
That's right.
And I don't have to dilute the brilliance for my personality to come through. And so this is my way of coming to a happy medium with that, because Mind Your Business is going to be what Mind Your Business is going to be. And as a digital marketing, brand, and social media strategist, the bottom line is that gets technical sometimes, right? And so anybody that I'm helping in that area, they're going to have to level up learning some new vocabulary and some new concepts anyway. So that is what it is. But I recognize and I can, meet halfway that maybe I can show a little bit more about who I am and show, different sides of me, but I'm still Tisha, and that $1 million verbiage and them SAT words are still going to rock with us even in this space.
Come on, SAT words. And the reality is you want a Tisha to be able to grab the language and grab the concepts that your target audience will resonate with. And honestly, I just call it being a word nerd. And I love when you nerd out on the industry and your business and the strategy and the tactics behind what you do. I mean, if you're not nerding out on it, what are people paying you for, child? No, ma'am. I love that.
Listen, and you know, one of the things I always tell my clients, which, you know, I'm rebranding, and in this season of rebranding, I'm embracing a lot of the practice what I preach, put in motion what I teach philosophy right now. And one of the things that I tell people is that your messaging, everything that you put out there, it will vibe with your tribe. When you have a clear definition of who you are and who you're trying to connect with, you'll vibe with your tribe. So just like you and I connect, because we are fellow lovers of the vocabulary and word nerds, and you know, people who are communicators just by nature, you know, the people that are meant to be in my space, they'll resonate with that, and they'll draw to me. I feel like I had to learn to not be concerned about where the people who think I'm talking over their head are going.
I love that. I love that. Where I want to go next is I want to really get into some of the things you've had to overcome. And it's stunning. And I think people need to hear this. I mean, but if we need to take a quick break before we get there and turn the tables, we can do that, or we can keep going.
So this is the perfect opportunity. So in the Well-Rounded podcast, there is going to be a segment called Mind Your Business. Okay. And so Mind Your Business is the opportunity for my guests to share some tip, piece of wisdom, nugget that they wish they had at the beginning of their journey as an entrepreneur. So I'm going to get in that hot seat and I'm going to mind my business. The thing that I wish I knew in the very beginning of this is don't be afraid to try new things. So as much as I'm a person who, you know, I'm serial entrepreneur, sometimes there's a little bit of imposter syndrome behind that, right? Where you can get in certain environments where you're like, am I really good enough to be here? But no, like, take the fear out of it. Fear of what people may think, of the unknown, has sometimes delayed things that inevitably did come to fruition. But don't let fear stop you from the thing that you know that God is calling you to do. Because the people that you're called to serve, they're waiting for you to show up and give them what they need. So don't let fear get in the way.
Don't let fear get in the way. Powerful. That's a powerful Mind Your Business segment. I love that. I love that. Don't let fear get in the way. So here's the thing. You want to talk about fear getting in the way. It would be so easy once you encounter obstacles to be like, you know what, this hurts. This is scary. I'm out. Talk to me a little bit about, because you're also a mommy. Yes. But talk to me a little bit about being a mom, being in a new city, what that was like, and how you ended up here. Because the little birdie told me that you literally had to wade through floods and storms just to make sure you and your baby were okay. What does that mean?
Wade in the water, for real, right? So after I had my daughter, went back home because thinking that I would have like more of that support system with, you know, her other side of her family and things, and it didn't work out that way. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to the place where I feel like I can thrive and make things happen and be happy. So we went back to Atlanta. Car broke down. I ended up working somewhere where there was a season. I was working overnight as an auditor at a hotel. So 10:30 to 6:30, and then 8 to 5 during the day for the state. This state job, it was a temp position. So I was afraid to quit the overnight job for that because I didn't want the rug to be snatched up from up under me. So I went a long while doing both things. So we are on the bus with a 3-hour tour. Y'all remember Gilligan's Island? I might be dating myself. But we had a 3-hour tour on the bus for me to get her to the sitter and then for me to get on to work. And so I just remember one day getting off of work, still had her in her stroller, and the street that we lived in was literally flooded and the water was up to my knees. So I'm holding my baby. She's like 2 or 3 at the 2, almost 3 at the time. I'm holding my baby, pushing her stroller. And you want to talk about the ugly cry?
Yeah.
It's raining. The water's up to my knees. And at that moment, I'm just like, how did I get here? I am tenacious and brilliant and all of these things. Where did I mess up? How did I get in this situation? And it was at that moment that the tide started to turn. And I was like, you know what? My baby is watching me. I am her first example of womanhood. And I have to show her that in the midst of any storm, anything is possible. Yeah. And so...
Oh my gosh. And you're showing her because, from there, I know that you had an opportunity to move to Dallas. You did get to Dallas and and I'm going to tell your business because you move the mountains, you get to Dallas. So from Atlanta with your baby, get to Dallas, like, okay, things are looking up. 3 months later, that gets snatched from you.
Oh gosh, 3 months later. So the job that I had transferred me to Dallas. And at that time, when you start to experience enough like struggle and adversity, you don't want to feel like you're a runner. Right. And so I was really serious about asking the Lord, if this is where I'm supposed to be, I'm going to need you to orchestrate every piece of it, because I feel like when I'm calling the shots, things don't work. And so everything just fell into place to the point where I felt like that was confirmation. So we came on to Dallas. 3 months later, that company closed their doors. And I was like, I'm being punked. I'm being punked. And, interestingly enough, I started going to the Potter's house and I was just serving because I was like, okay, I've got to kick in that entrepreneur side of me again. So this is where Tisha Holman Events begins to blossom. But then also, there had to be something that gave me like faith and hope to kind of keep pushing. You need that wind beneath your wings sometimes. And so the very area that I was serving in opened a door for a job opportunity for me. We were talking about these natural gifts and talents. I was able to make some explosive moves for some folks in the organization with their social media, and it made room. My gifts made room for me, literally. And so, it was in that space that the pendulum swung. Right. And Tisha Holman Events became Mind Your Business because I used to teach at UTA, at University of Texas, Arlington. I would teach a certification class for weddings and corporate events. And so they will hire people like me because we have the experience to kind of really like juice up the class. But there was nothing in there to help people be business owners, to be entrepreneurs, and brand and market themselves. So I had been doing that. See, I'm every woman. I know you're probably thinking like, wait a minute, girl, you did this, that, and the third. So let me just say, guys, I'm sure you're probably thinking this. I'm one of those people that has done a lot of things. I know a lot about a lot of things. And so as an undercurrent through this, I have been helping organizations like Susan G. Komen, Urban League with branding and things like that in the community. And so I got a reputation for it. People would, enlist my services for that. And so I had some foundation to create this curriculum for my certification class. And then that's when Mind Your Business was born and the social media makeover came about. And the pendulum swung, and transparently, I was sitting in a meeting one day at work, and the CEO said, if you don't follow your dreams, somebody will hire you to build theirs. And I thought, well, what kind of fool would I be to continue to sit here and build this person's dream when I know that God has given me all this good talent? So I took the leap. And Mind Your Business has been rocking and rolling ever since. I'm about to drop my 5th book here pretty soon. And things are great.
Tisha, that is so incredible. And my huge takeaway, two things for me. My huge takeaway is that resilience is not a destination. It happens in stages. And you chose every single day to be resilient that day. And it absolutely led here. And I celebrate you. And the last thing I want to just share, and I bet you're hearing this, the folks who are listening and watching this podcast, is that you may say, yeah, I do a whole lot of things, but see, this is my area. This is where I come in with, just that brand synergy. And what I hear, Tisha, and what I hear is that the entire time you have been a brand messaging expert, period, because you have had to brand and rebrand yourself to get to each level, and you're credentialed, and you've done it for some of the biggest names on earth. And you now have opened this up to do it for small businesses who want you to mind their business, right? And so I don't think you do a whole lot of things, ma'am. I think you do one thing really well, and that is branding for excellence. And you may do it through digital marketing or events or podcasts, but ma'am, my hats go off to you. Just congratulations on the launch of your podcast and just for who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And see, y'all, listen, this is why I needed somebody else to talk to me, because a lot of what I said today, I've never said on the mic before. Yeah. So I'm sitting here like, ooh, I've never said the water's up to my knees story to the people. So because you feel like sometimes these things are embarrassing, but it is liberating, I think, to be able to share things. And, I'm trying to find my balance with that authenticity thing. I think sometimes that can be cliched and definitely, overrun, in narratives for different brands. But I'm happy to be showing up in this space as my authentic self. And I appreciate you so much for being the one to help me introduce myself to the world and kick off the Well-Rounded podcast with a bang. Thank you, friend.
It is my pleasure, friend. Well-Rounded podcast. Let's go.
All right, everybody. That's the Well-Rounded podcast. You can follow us, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Connect with me on social media @It's Tisha Holman. All right. Have a great day.